Oh, hi. I'm Owlbear Rogue. Welcome to the cave. It has been far too long since I've hung out with you fine people. And you know what else has been too long? It has been too long since I played D&D. And I know what you're thinking. That is a weird thing for you to say, Owlbear. I thought you were running a bazillion games. And you're right. I've got 6 personal campaigns going, and I host a local paid D&D night. I DM at conventions, and I've also started over on Start Playing Games DMing as well. But in all those different communities, I'm always the one running the show. I truly cannot remember the last time I was a player. I'm what you call a forever DM. And in my experience, there's 2 different kinds of forever DMs. There's people that most of the time would rather be players, but they're willing to DM, and they're able to DM, and they're the only ones in their friend group for whom both of those things are true. They want to play, and running a game is the only way to make it happen. Some of my regular players used to be that kind of DM. They were thrilled to make their way into my groups, and they literally just started giving me all of their DM stuff, all the things they used to use for running games. They were truly only running because they had to. Then there are forever DMs who just love DMing, and that is me, y'all. I hope that doesn't come as a surprise. But planning my next sessions is my ideal downtime. There's a part of my brain that is dedicated every waking moment to thinking about my games, picking up ideas for NPCs and plots, thinking, oh, this would be cool, that would be neat, going back over what my players were focused on in the last game and thinking about how to weave more of those elements in next time. But being a player in a game is super fun, right? You betcha. And I think it's important to sit on the other side of the DM screen sometimes and remember what that feels like. What is it like to not know the whole plot? What does it feel like to have your creativity rewarded or not rewarded? What does it feel like to be really invested in just one character instead of the whole world? You don't want to be a baker who's never eaten a cake, or an actor who's never seen a movie, a writer who's never read a book. So, I was excited when one of the other local DMs, who's part of a group of us that run at conventions, decided he wanted to run a game for those of us who don't get to play very often. It's a grim fairy tale kind of situation, which I love. Right up my alley. So come along with me while I build a character for moi. One for my very own. Pew, 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 pew. This may be shocking to you all, but your gal Owlbear Rogue loves to play a sneaky little guy. Just a sneaky, sneaky little guy. Maybe a slightly uncanny, eerie little guy. So I thought for this game, I would mix it up. I'm not going to play a tiny, spooky, sneak little rogue. I'm going to play a small, sneak warlock who just happens to be creepy as hell. Oh man, I'm a bit of a creature of habit. In the last few weeks, I've been just churning out character sheets in general for my convention games and some of my professional games. I like to have a variety of different pre-generated characters for people to choose from so they can just sit down and play. I have fun making characters, but I'm usually thinking about how those characters could interact with the world I'm creating. There was one I made, though, that tickled my fancy. And when the opportunity to play this kind of oops, all DMs game came along, I thought, perfect, let's do this. So hop in, nerds. Come along while I create this character. First thing I'm going to do is hop on over to D&D Beyond. Now, I use D&D Beyond for character creation, making stat blocks for homebrew monsters I know I'm going to reuse, and for checking my encounter lethality sometimes. I would hope it goes without saying that little old me does not have a video sponsored by D&D Beyond. So this is an unsponsored video. Let's get into it. Okie dokie. Here I am in D&D Beyond character creation. First things first, what is my character name going to be? So my concept for this little sneaky guy is a warlock with an arch-fae patron. And I don't know if y'all just got the new monster manual that just came out. They have a really great spread on arch hags. Yes. And between Baldur's Gate, where the hags are, well, hag really, is just one of my absolute favorite characters, and Running Wild Beyond the Witchlight, which, spoiler alert, is very hag heavy. I've just really been feeling the hags lately. What can I say? Channeling my inner hag is something I aspire to as I age. And so I'm envisioning an arch hag as my patron, who's very focused on like sharp creepiness. I'm thinking I might call her something like Auntie Needles or Nona Needles, something like that, Granny Needles. You get the idea. So this little one, I'm thinking I'm going to call Pinsprickle. I'm going to put that in. I'm Pinsprickle. You can call me Pins or you can call me Prick, depending on how the mood strikes. Yes. So Pinsprickle is my name. Now you can come back later if you're starting out a character and you don't know. I don't know what name. That's always something you can edit later. The sources, I'm going to be going with just the 2024 stuff. I'm not going to worry too much about all of this. Enable dice rolling, yeah. I do like all of the things that allow you to add more, customize more. None of this stuff is too important. I will make this public. All right, let's get into the good stuff. We're going to choose our class. We already decided that is going to be a warlock. Add class. Now, thankfully, you all have heard me go on about how much I'm not a fan of level 1 in Dungeons and Dragons. And thankfully, the DM for my new campaign agrees. And we are going with level 3. In my opinion, the best level for most one-shots, the best level to start a campaign at. I love that. That's when you get all of your interesting, spicy stuff. And you're not so delicate that, you know, the DM sneezes and you fall over dead. All right, let's get into our core warlock traits. Ooh, I love skill proficiencies. Definitely want to go with Arcana. And even though my little guy is tiny, I'm going to go with Intimidation too, because anyone whose patron is Auntie Needles is going to be pretty good at scaring you, even if they're not big and strong. So we're going to go with Arcana and Intimidation. Eldritch Invocations. So these are little bits of hidden knowledge that you have as a result of your Warlock Pact, and they give you some special abilities. I always have to go with Agonizing Blast. Eldritch Blast is the bread and butter of the Warlock. It's a cantrip that you can throw out and deal serious damage, especially as the character grows. Agonizing Blast allows you to add your charisma modifier to that, so I am doing that all day long. Now next we've got Armor of Shadows. That is probably one that I will go with. I'm pretty sure that just lets you do mage armor. Finish bigger. Oh, and I love Pact of the Tome. Okay, let's do that. Let's do Armor of Shadows. Yeah, you cast mage armor on yourself without expending a spell slot when you're a little guy. That's really important. And then, let's see, we're going to do Pact of the Tome. Stitching together strands of shadow. Ooh, that is good wording for Pinsprickles, right? I think I might, for flavor, have my Book of Shadows actually be like fabric, just like this like long scroll of fabric that's been really creepily like Blair Witch sewn on with blood red yarn and has nasty stains on it and things like that. I like that. That's sexy. All right, so let's pick some spells now to go in my Book of Shadows. I like to take the opportunity when I'm first choosing these kinds of things for a character to really decide what the flavor of my character is and have it reflected in the cantrips and spells that I choose. So sometimes I'm someone who will ignore optimization to a degree in order to have something that I just think has the right flavor for my character. So looking at these, Chill Touch, I don't hate. Eldritch, okay, well, we'll just start with Eldritch Blast. That is a nod to optimization that one must make. We must do that as a warlock. So we've got Eldritch Blast. Man, guidance. It is hard to say no to guidance. We'll put that there as a placeholder. And Mage Hand seems kind of like a no-brainer. Okay. Moving on to our leveled spells. Alarm, Detect Magic. I do have a kind of arcane focus to her. Yeah, I like that. Let's do Detect Magic. And let's do Identify. She wants to be in the middle of things and know all of the things to put in her Book of Shadows. Pact Magic, we got that. And here we go. Here's the fun bit. The Warlock subclass. We're going to choose our Archfey patron to get our Archhag in there. And that gives us Steps of the Fae. So your patron grants you the ability to move between the boundaries of the planes. You can cast Misty Step without expending a spell slot. So perfect. I'm little, I'm sneaky, I'm Fae, I get to bop around. Now, I like how much focus on background the new 2024 rules have. So that's what they have us picking next. This is really interesting. Oh, I'm tempted to go with Gambler for her. I just really like that one for some reason. But it doesn't come with the beginning feat that you get with these other ones. And that's pretty sexy. So maybe we'll just go traditional. Owlbear Rogue is choosing the criminal background. I know you all are shocked, dumbfounded. All right, so I get to choose between Dexterity, Constitution, and Intelligence. Yuck. No, I don't want that. I don't like that at all. I want to do something I can pump Charisma into. Let's see. Let's see if Gambler lets me choose Charisma. I think it will come later on, but I think I can. Let's just go with Gambler for now. Maybe I'll change my mind. So choose a gaming set. Darts. It's got to be darts all the way, right? We're Pinsprickle. I like the idea. Now, I know darts in D&D as a weapon is meant to be more of like the medieval, like short javelin, but I'm going to talk to my DM and see if he will let me make it actual gaming darts and go patoo and be Pinsprickle. It all makes sense. Languages, got to go with Sylvan since I'm Fae. And you get some fun things here with the Gambler, like never tell me the odds. So during downtime activities that involve games of chance or figuring odds on the best plan, you can get a solid sense of which choice is likely the best one and which opportunities seem too good to be true at the DM's determination. So that's a fun little thing they've thrown in for gamblers that I really like. A lot of good roleplay potential there. Okay, now we're on to our species. This is another just kind of semantics change with 2024, species instead of race. I'm thinking, now I will say, so if you haven't bought any of the books, these are the ones you're going to get the choice of. I have bought the expanded, it was the old new Monster Manual book that has more of the options. And I tend to go with little guys with like a gnome or a halfling. I think gnome would be a little bit more of the flavor for my creepy little gal. But I'm tempted by some of these others. Fairy would not be a terrible choice, a kind of puckish, mischievous, creepy little fairy. Satyr. I like the idea of her having a tail and like knees that bend the wrong way. There's something very fey and very, you can tell something's not quite right with me with that. But the whole I want to be little and satyrs can't be little. So what I actually think I'm going to go with is a changeling. Changelings can change their appearance at will, so you can kind of have them look like whatever you want to because they're really choosing their appearance at any given time. They can be little, they're fey, they've got a perfect fey background. So I think changeling is what I'm gonna go with. Languages, I get to choose another language, and we decided to choose a criminal. So I'm gonna come down here to thieves can't. So this is a special, like, it's very Dickensian to me. Makes me think of like in Christmas Carol, the little creatures who stole his bed sheets, they'd be talking to each other, and thieves can't, you know. But that, yeah, it's a special language that the criminals have with each other in the criminal underworld. Size, you got it, small. She's just a small little gal. And my changeling instincts. So I get a couple of skills here. I've already got deception and insight as a gambler. Nice, perfect. That means I'm on the right track, right? When I pull up a new tree to choose from and there's things I've already chosen that are in there already. So I just guess I gotta go with performance and persuasion. You can be very persuasive when you're a creepy little gal. All right, moving on. So when I'm having people do paper sheets when not using D&D Beyond, we do standard array. It's a set numbers, you pick which one goes where. It's all really straightforward. When I'm on D&D Beyond, though, one of the things I like about it is I feel comfortable doing point buy, which gives you a certain number of points to put here and there. It's just more math-y in my head and my way of thinking than standard array. I don't trust myself to do it, but D&D Beyond will do it for me automatically. So I really want my charisma to be the big one, yeah? And then I want dexterity to be next. So I'm going to go 14 on that one. I want her to be very, she's not like, even though she's Book of the Tome, do I want her to be very perceptive or very intelligent? I think I'm going to lean a little bit more into perception as someone who's a gambler, right? You really want to learn people's tells, know what's going on. Definitely intelligence is coming next, though. I think we all know strength is probably not going to be her jam. So we'll do Constitution, and then, yeah, that leaves us with an 8 for strength. Okay. Ability score increases. Excellent. Oh, this might change my plan a little bit. Okay, so I get to choose one score to increase by 2. I could do 1, 1, 1 in 3 different ones, or I can do 2 and 1, which is where I tend to go. I'm going to do dexterity +1, and I'm going to do charisma +2. Obviously, so that brings me to a 17. Now, I think what I can do then is actually make that a 14, because if you're not familiar, only the even numbers actually give you any boost to your modifier. So I can use that point elsewhere, because unless I level up this character, having a 17 isn't really doing me any good. And this is going to be a small little arc. I don't think we'll be leveling up. Same thing here. I'm adding 1, and the 15 doesn't do anything for me. So I can put my 15 there. And now I've got a 16 and a 16, which is going to be a +3 and a +3. So I'm equally really good for my level at charisma and dexterity. Sexy. Thank you, D&D Beyond. I love that feature. Thanks for helping me with point buy. Okay. This is fun. Equipment. Very, very good times. Let's take a look at the starting equipment and see if I like it. Leather armor, meh. Sickle, meh. Daggers, arcane focus. I'm definitely going to want an arcane focus. I want to think about what that is. My book, my scholar's pack. Okay, I've got my gambler stuff, gaming set, lucky charm, fun, set of fine clothes, belt pouch. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and add on the starting equipment. Maybe I'll take some of it out. Maybe I won't. Backpack, books. That makes sense. Dagger. Man, I really get torn here. Dagger's obviously a utilitarian thing. I feel like if I was running around in reality in this kind of D&D world, everyone would have a dagger, right? I don't think I need to. What does it hurt? Okay, inking, pen, lamp, leather, oil, orb. I like that. Arcane focus. I think I have this picture again with the needles and the Pinsprickle and all of that. That Pinsprickle has a big golden needle that she just like rolls around in her mouth like a toothpick, and it's always there, and she's always fiddling with it, and that's her arcane focus. And when she casts Eldritch Blast, she like flicks the needle, and the Eldritch Blast like looks like a bunch of needles and feels like a bunch of needles shooting out of her mouth. That's the flavor I'm gonna give that. And I encourage you all, when you're making characters, like, you don't have to take all this at face value. You know, take just the idea of an arcane focus and say, mine's not an orb, mine is a needle, mine is something that makes sense for my character. Sickles are wicked. They're so cool, but not quite Pinsprickle's vibe. So that's gonna go. Okay, now we can add items. I only wanted to do, well, do I only want to do things that I'm proficient in, or do I want lots of flavor? Let's start with flavor. Antimatter rifle. Whew. I don't think that's what we have going on today. I definitely want darts. We talked about that, and how we're gonna make those the gaming darts and not the medieval darts that D&D actually is meant to use. I'm actually wondering if we have, did I pass it already? I think this is all. I want a blowgun. I want to go. Oh, there it is. Yep. Blowgun. Add item. Now, I'm not going to be proficient with that. But because it's the way they've classed it, it's martial, which is a little bit silly to me. But hey, that's not an optimized thing for me to choose. It is very much about flavor. The reality is I'm not going to be making weapons attacks very often. I'm a warlock. I'm probably almost always going to be using my spells, mostly my Eldritch Blast. So we will do those. Perfect. Let's look at some equipment. Oh, armor. I guess I should think about armor. I might not do any armor. I might go armorless. Yeah, let's do that. So we want stuff. We want gear. Let's just go on down here. I'm going to say she has an abacus. She has to add up her earnings as a gambler in the most modern, efficient way possible with her abacus. Let's keep scrolling here. Arcane focus. We got that already in our gear. Bagpipes. So good. Oh, ball bearings. Any little sneaky sneak has to have some ball bearings. Love that. Basic poison. Great for adding to darts. Now, all of this inventory, of course, I will be running by the DM to make sure that they are cool with anything that I'm adding. I don't think any of it's going to be too crazy. A bell, just because somehow that is creepy to me. Just something a little bit creepy about that. I'll need some blowgun needles to go with my blowgun. Let's see. Burr supplies. Most of this we can go through pretty quickly. Maybe a bullseye lantern. So that's a lantern that lets you really kind of close it just a little bit until it's just a little pinprickles, if you will. So you're harder to spot even though you're doing some illumination. Or maybe a burglar's pack. She is sneaky, sneaky. Caltrops. Love caltrops. One of my favorite things, there's a book called The Raven Ring by Patricia C. Reedy. One of my favorite authors. She writes I'm actually in the process of doing The Raven Ring as a campaign for the first time right now, as a short campaign. But in it, there's a character who has caltrops and has a kind of cultural thing where every night they set caltrops out on the floor in a certain pattern, and there's different patterns for them to choose from, and the people within that culture know which pattern was laid down and they know how to walk through it, but other people don't, so they wind up stepping on what's basically like your little d4 dice in the middle of the night and giving themselves away. So whenever I have like a sneaky smart character, I like to give them caltrops and use that idea. So that's just one example of me taking media, taking something from the world and going, I love it, and putting it in my games. Gonna keep looking at stuff here. I know this is really riveting YouTube content. Going through all of these. I think she'd probably have some dice too. She's a gambler. Who doesn't want to be a dice goblin? She doesn't need a disguise kit because she's a changeling. She can do that on her own. Drow poison, interesting. Maybe. Anyhow, like I was saying, this is going to be a kind of grim fairy tale setting. So my understanding of it is it's a homebrew world for this campaign, and all the kind of like mythical, magical fairy tale creatures of the world exist in this realm that's kind of adjacent to our world. And there's a society run by the Brothers Grimm who kind of keep things in check, keep the storyline pure, keep the worlds from kind of meshing in ways that would be detrimental. So I've got a lot figured out about this character already. One thing I'm going to have to figure out is how does it fit into this world? I'm supposed to be something called a Grim Warden, you know, one of the people who's tasked with being a warden to this world and this system. And she's a creepy little weirdo with a hag patron. So that's one thing I have not figured out yet that I'm going to have to figure out is her motivation for being fully part of this group. Because I am not going to be one of those people. Ooh, little bag of sand, another sneaky little item. I'm not going to be one of those people who brings in a character who's just not in it, or is in it for really wrong reasons and just makes everyone's job confusing and difficult and is hard to mesh with the group and doesn't make friends with anyone. Moonstone just seems like something a fae would carry around. I like it. Yeah, so that is something I have to do. And if you have ideas, I would love to hear them in the comments. Needles! Look at mine. All the needles. Sorry. Yeah, I'd love to hear your ideas on what might motivate a hag patron little warlock to be a part of this group that is trying to, in a sense, keep some sense of order in the world. Maybe it is just her desire to be in the middle of things and know things, to know all of the things. Maybe that's something that she's into. Let's see. We're coming to the end here finally. There was one thing I looked at earlier that I think I missed. Again, I know, I'm sorry, I'm scrolling really fast on this. Is fascinating YouTube content. There was here we are. Midnight Tears. This is a poison. A creature that ingests this poison suffers no effect until the stroke of midnight. What could be more fairy tale creepy hag than that, right? If the poison has not been neutralized by then, the creature must succeed on a DC 17. Ooh, that's nasty. Saving throw, taking 9d6 poison damage on a failed save, or half on a successful one. So this is a perfect example of something that I'm going to add in. But I'm definitely going to check with the DM. I think it's got fun flavor. It's got fun RP potential. And so I want to try it out, and we'll see if he's game. Hopefully he will be. All right, let's make sure that I've equipped the things that I really want to use. My weapons. I don't think, again, I'm going to use that leather armor. I just don't think I shall. All right, we're going to wield darts. Let's go ahead and wield the daggers, I guess. That'll be our main things. Oh, yeah, and wield our blowgun. Bink. I don't know. I'm not Matt Mercer. I can't make all the noises for you. Oh, yes, and I almost forgot the spells that I chose. I normally like to kind of get the whole character sheet done and then go back and choose my spells when I have more of an idea who this creature is. And remember, I already chose a few for Pact of the Tome, so some of my important ones are already out of the way. But these are the ones that I decided on. I like to choose a mix of things that are going to have combat utility, roleplay utility, and some other kind of utility, usually with movement. So I've got a mix here. Chill Touch. I liked the vibe of it. It's necrotic in nature. It keeps people from regaining hit points, and that just had a very like Fey Hag vibe to it. Also, until you get to higher levels and make the choice, Eldritch Blast is at disadvantage up close. So I wanted to have something magical that's going to deal damage close up and personal. Then I chose True Strike. They really beefed up True Strike in 2024, and I like it. It basically lets you use some of your magic modifiers to make physical attacks. So I like that little bit of utility there. Distort Value I chose for its roleplay possibilities. I remember I chose the gambler background, and Distort Value basically lets you take an object and maybe make it look more or less valuable than it is to the person that you're trying to deceive. So that seemed like a fun roleplay opportunity spell. I take Hellish Rebuke every time I have the opportunity. It does so much damage and it's a reaction. And man, is it satisfying when you get hit by something to just boosh right back. I also love the descriptions of the green flame. Again, very hag, very fey feeling, even though it is obviously meant to be more of like a hellish kind of a thing. Cloud of Daggers. Man, I love a Cloud of Daggers. I think it, for a lot of people, Baldur's Gate opened up the possibilities of Cloud of Daggers when you're really moving through the world and seeing what happens if I force my enemies to come to me through this narrow space. And then I put a Cloud of Daggers there. I just love it. It's one of my very favorite spells. And with me being very focused on pointy, stabby things, I thought it was a perfect vibe for Pinsprickle. And finally, Spider Climb, because A, it's fun, it's cool, you can climb the wall, and B, it's just like a creepy, weird, unsettling little thing. And that's what my gal is all about. I'm going to put a link to the character sheet down below so you can take a closer look, take a look at a few of the flaws and bonds and things like that I chose to. And also, if Pinsprickle tickles your fancy, she pinprickles your fancy, feel free to use her. You have my blessing. Take her out into the world, run her around your games. Let me know how it goes. Use her as an NPC, use her as your own player character if you want to.
Voila! I also I made this little gal over on Hero Forge, which is an okay place to get minis. I found them to be really, really brittle and easy to break, to be honest, but they are very affordable and highly customizable. I will say that. And it's also a really great place to get a visual for your character, for digital tokens, and your own fun. I can spend a long time on Hero Forge, and I did. So I will link a little picture of this gal down below. And there you have it, friends. This forever DM has a character to call her own. I love Pinsprickle, and I hope to never see her looking back at me from a shadowy corner. Let me know in the comments if you want to hear all about Pinsprickle's greatest hits. Like literally who she hits. Once I'm done playing this little campaign arc. I'm excited. And speaking of things I'm excited for, Ginny D and Pointy Hat are organizing another Monster Week coming out in April. This year's theme is dragons. Stay tuned. I'm going to post some polls about what kind of video you think I should do. I did a Western one-shot for Kraken Week last year. This year, maybe I'll do another one-shot or make a new kind of dragon when I'm not playing sneaky, creepy little guys. My second favorite build to play personally is Dragon Ancestry Sorcerers. So maybe I'll build one of those. Lots of ideas to kick around. No matter what, I'll be putting the dungeons back in the dragons or the dragons back in dungeons, being the dragon I want to see in the world.
The real treasure is the dragons we met along the way. Anyway, I don't know. But on a serious note, I want to thank all of you who left me incredibly kind, heartfelt messages after my last video. You are my people, and I appreciate you so much. I'm happy to be back with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for exploring the feminine urge to make creepy little guys with me, Owlbear Rogue.
I'll never prick and tell.